And with that, we'll roll into our next media availability. We're joined by Kevin Harvick, driver of the number 4 Budweiser Jimmy John Chevrolet for Stewart Haas Racing. Kevin's on quite a roll here at Phoenix International Raceway with 4 consecutive wins. Kevin, what's it going to take to get number 5 this weekend?
It's just another weekend for us in how you approach it. You want to go out and try to get off to a good start in practice and hope that the car's close and see where the racetrack is and where your car is and where everything is that you might need to make better. So it's just, a constant evaluation of your race car and the conditions and the tire and everything to start practice, and then adjust from there and hopefully have some good speed in the car by the time you roll around for qualifying. But really nothing different than any other week.
Okay, with that, we'll open it up to the floor. Please raise your hand, state your name and affiliation.
Kevin, Jonathan Merriman, NASCAR.com. Historically, you've owned this place like we just talked about. But if you look at Dover, Jimmy Johnson, his own there previously in a $10 part, took him out in an elimination race there. How much do you worry about a part failure or something going out of your control possibly taking you out at a place like this, or is that something that you worry about at all?
We don't worry about anything like that. You control the things that you can control and try to get the most out of your weekend.
We'll go Claire. Tom?
Claire Belang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. What do you think it takes mentally to be able to pull off all of the intensity of this year? I mean, you've been through it once. You won the championship. I was playing an interview back from you last year after you got into victory lane and thinking about what you have for it this year. And why do you think you're so good here?
I think this particular format has tested the drivers and the teams and just the mental approach to every weekend, every moment, how you react to those moments, and how you move forward through those moments. So every moment is a big moment in this particular format, just because one point or one situation means so much in what you have to do on that particular weekend and what it leads to the next weekend. So I think our team has done a good job of controlling their emotions and things throughout the situations that we've been faced with. You look at this particular chase, it's much different than last year's chase, but in the end, it doesn't matter how it looks on paper. It's still a better position than we were at this particular point last year. So it's funny that you just have to, you, in a sense, play the game. And every week it's a new game, and you have to approach it the same way that you approached the week before, but every scenario is different. So it's hard to balance that all out, but I think we've done a good job in balancing that out. And as far as the racetrack, it's just been a great place, for me personally through the years, and we've had a lot of really cool moments here with winning our first truck race at KHI and winning a lot of races, throughout the years and in the different divisions, and getting my first win at Stewart Haas here. I believe this was my last win at RCR too. So there's just been a lot of really, really cool moments, and for me that's really neat because this was kind of through the years when I started racing here in the mid-90s and growing up, coming to watch races here, with my grandpa in the motorhome and sitting around, watching the cars go around the racetrack, and then being able to drive the cars in the Southwest Tour and Winston West, and you still see a lot of those same competitors that show up on a yearly basis to race in different divisions or show up as fans, and you see a lot of fans that have been here watching me race since the mid-90s. So it's just a fun place, and I feel like our for me, whatever reason throughout the years, the flat track stuff has always kind of fit my driving style, whether it be here or Loudon or any of those flatter type of places. Just been good for us throughout the years. So it's just even after the repave, I think it's still a really good racetrack for us.
Let's go Tom and then John.
Hey Kevin, Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. You got 7 teams alive that believe they can win the championship. You guys are the one team that know they can win the championship at this time of year because you've done it. How much of an advantage is that for you?
I don't know that we've actually really think about those things. Obviously, we have the experience that we've gone through, but I don't know that that's an advantage at this particular point. I feel like if you can be successful this weekend, I think it'll be better experience next week, because it's just next week is just such a different week mentally of things that you think about and go through. But you first have to get through this week, and I think as you look at this week, I told somebody yesterday, I said the good news is we only have 2 races to go, so whether you win or lose this week, you'll have a short time to think about winning or losing as you get through Homestead, and you don't have to dwell on it for if you were out after Dover. So it's it's definitely a good experience for us, but there's been so many new experiences that we've gone through this year and new situations that we've gone through. I feel like any of those new situations can pop up, but I still feel like we've done a good job in managing all the different types of scenarios.
Let's go, John.
Thanks. John Oriovitz, ESPN.com. Kevin, is this the kind of track where you have to qualify up front and run at the front all day, or is it a place where you can recover if you have a bad pit stop or something goes wrong?
I think it's like any other racetrack. You don't want to have trouble late. You want to qualify the best that you can and try to put yourself in the least amount of possibility of getting in trouble around the least amount of cars that you can. So it's the same as every other track. You want to try to qualify as well as you can to keep yourself in a safer spot. Not to say that there can't be anything go wrong up front, but it definitely makes your day better if you can stay up front. And you just, you're not going to recover really anywhere if you have trouble late.
Steve Richards with PRN. Kevin, Kurt said the ideal situation for Stewart-Haas would be for him to win and you to finish second, so you're both in. If you're racing him late, does the team aspect come to mind in that situation? Do you race him a little bit more carefully? And
I haven't really thought about any of that stuff, to be honest with you. The only thing I've thought about this week was winning this race.
Okay.
We'll go Jeff and then Wolfgang.
Jeff Clark from USA Today. Is it harder to win a championship in this format than the old chase?
I don't know. I never won one in the old chase, so I don't have any reference.
So does that mean yes then?
There was just so many different scenarios for us last year as we won the championship, and you come in with a new team and new environment that you really, I feel like was a better fit for everything that we had going on from a performance standpoint and throughout the year and the way that things went. So, I can honestly tell you that last year, if we wouldn't have won the championship, I would have felt disappointed the way that the cars ran throughout the year and the way that things went. So, it's not to say that you wouldn't be disappointed if you didn't win this year, but I feel like we've challenged and been competitive and done the things that we need to do to stay in the hunt. But never having done it before last year, you just never had been in that situation to feel like, we should win a championship because we've performed so well, and it's never been like that for me before throughout the whole year. So I think as you look at the previous years before last year, it'd be a hard comparison, but it's definitely more mentally challenging than I've ever been in a championship hunt before, just for the fact that it's just the pressure that it puts on everybody from getting in the chase, and then it goes, once you win a race, it kind of relieves that pressure until you get to race 27 in Chicago. And then all of a sudden the pressure doubles, triples, whatever number you want to put on it, because you know that you have to perform that day, that moment, and you have 3 weeks to get it done in order to get through the next round. So there's so much more pressure, just because there's so much more on the line on a daily, weekly, weekend format like we have, and you got to make it happen, and that's a lot of pressure for everybody to perform under. But sometimes it brings out the best in people.
Wolfgang?
Wolfgang Monser from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. Kevin, I still have a question connected to last weekend's race in Texas, which was quite impressive. One of the commentators said you had problems with the gear shifter or gear lever, was holding it, and with one hand you were steering. Despite power steering, how difficult is it to steer such a heavy car under rear speed with one hand?
Yeah, we had some transmission issues last week with fourth gear that had knocked all the. It's a good thing I held it in, because all the gear was pretty tore up. We just didn't need it to pop out of gear again. We've experienced that as we've had that a couple times this year, and the more I let it pop out of gear at Sonoma this year, the faster it would come back out of gear in situations. And it came out of gear and, about halfway down the straightaway, and I was just afraid that it was going to blow the motor up. And as you jam it back into gear, that's when it really starts tearing things up. So I just didn't want it to come back out of gear. I'm a left-hand dominant driver through the center of the corner. The exit of the corner was kind of where I go back to my right hand. And so that was really the hardest part for me, was just controlling the car on the exit of the corner. The entry was easier after my arm started going to sleep because I had to start moving my arm off the gear shifter, and I felt like going into the corner was the best place to do that because I needed to have my arm back on the gear shifter on exit. So I was able to. I took the chance of putting my arm back on the steering wheel, getting in the corner to try to keep the thing in gear on the exit of the corner, because I felt like at that point I didn't need it to pop out of gear, but if it was going to pop out of the gear, it'd be better in the corner than it was to be in the middle of the straightaway and turn 10,000 RPMs and break a valve spring or something. So it was just a rhythm thing. And it all worked out. It's not the ideal situation, but for me, I was lucky that I'm a left-hand dominant person through the center of the corner, and that was I felt like the most important part of it, and I kind of got in a rhythm on the exit.
Did you make it the whole race distance?
No, just 100 laps.
And we'll finish up here with Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, Kicking the Tires. Kevin, you may not have to worry about that this week. Can you elaborate on whether or not Rodney changed that? And if he did, do you feel more secure in the new transmission that he was talking about at the end of the race last week?
Rodney, I think he feels better about the situation this week, and they did change transmissions.
Okay, Kevin, thank you very much.
Thank
and
you.
Good luck this weekend.